Now, for those in the audience, getting to know you for the very first time, care to share where you were born?
I was born in Greenville, South Carolina.
And care to share where you were raised as well?
Greenville, South Carolina.
And care to share where you reside these days?
Right now, I reside in Atlanta.
And do you recall what age you were when you moved to ATL?
I've actually only been here about a week or so, 2 weeks.
So this is very fresh
Yes.
for you. Now, what was the reason for that move?
I mean, because down in Greenville, South Carolina, where I come from, it's like nobody makes it out of there. It's like you either die or go to prison, one way or the other. And I felt like, I just wanted to keep climbing. I wanted to chase my dreams, and I couldn't do it down there. So I had to get away.
Now, why Atlanta of all places? Because you could have chosen Miami, you could have chosen LA, you could have chosen New York.
This is basically like where my home team is, so I'm basically like, following the steps of my CEO.
And care to share who your CEO is?
Tay. His name is Tay.
Who's off camera to the side of you during this interview.
Yeah, that's my OG.
Now, for those that aren't familiar with Greenville, but maybe they heard of Columbia, South Carolina, perhaps, how far of a distance is that, driving-wise?
We're about an hour and a half away from Columbia, if that, give or take.
And what about Atlanta as well? How far of a distance from Greenville to ATL?
Depending on who driving, maybe 2 hours.
And when's the last time you visited Greenville?
I was actually there a few days ago.
Now, does it get any more specific on your raising in Greenville? Like a specific portion you represent, perhaps? Maybe an area in Greenville you claim, perhaps?
I grew up it's called District 25, basically where I grew up. But I'm a West Side baby. Like, I bounced from place to place out there. My upbringing was crazy.
So just for clarification, is District 25 on the west side, or that's a different area?
District 25 is on the south side, but most of my family, my immediate family, is from the west side. So once I actually grew up and it was up to me to find my family, I went and found them, and they were on the west side. So that's how that happened.
And care to share your current age at this point?
I'm 33.
And your birthday while you're at it, the month and the day, perhaps?
October 23rd.
Now, during your raising in Greenville, okay, let's zoom out for a second. If there was a circle chart of 100%, what percentage would you say you were raised in District 25 versus the West Side?
I'll say...
Up into the age of the move to Atlanta, what do you think that rough estimate was for you?
I say 75% District 25, 25% West Side.
Now let's zoom out once again. What was that really like growing up in Greenville for you? No matter District 25 or West Side, just all of that lumped together. What was that really like?
Basically, like growing up in Greenville, I started fighting addiction at a young age. So I was basically fighting drugs, fighting my peers, growing up having to grind and hustle for everything that I wanted. It's just like, it was no winning. It was like a lose-lose, so I continued to backslide, fighting charges, and just basically trouble. It's like a black cloud over my city.
Now, you use the phrase fighting. Is this something you were able to beat, or is this something you continue to fight with today?
I'm currently still fighting, but I would say that for the first time in my life, I'm finally winning the fight.
And I'm referencing the addiction here, unless you were talking about something else, because you did use the phrase fighting for a variety of things. But let me back it up just to make sure we're 100% clear. Are you still fighting an addiction today, or have you beat that addiction?
I'm currently still, fighting, but I check into a rehab facility actually tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning. So it's still a current fight, but like I said, I'm winning.
And care to share what this addiction is too?
It was cocaine, marijuana, alcohol. It was like I was just introduced to it at a young age. So it's been a fight since I was like 14 years old. I actually started doing it with my dad, and it was just something like to do that as a child and to try to outgrow it, it's no beating it without God and without faith. So.
Did he introduce you to any of those drugs?
He did. He did.
Which ones?
My dad introduced me to cocaine. And it was like, it's been so hard to beat alone. But now that I got a circle of people around me, it's like, okay. And I really want to, chase my dream. So it's like,
Is your father still in your life today?
We're cordial.
We also wanted to follow up with you here, Daze, on the rehab. You mentioned in a previous portion of questions that you are scheduled to attend rehab 7:30 a.m. tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Is this going to be your first stint with rehab?
It's not, but it's going to be the one that I'm ready for.
And what will make this different compared to previous stints with rehab?
Because I actually want it versus being forced to go. I actually want to go.
And how many times have you attempted rehab in the past?
This will be my third time.
Excuse me. Well, I know you mentioned that you are currently fighting addiction, because I was going to ask, did the rehab stints the last 2 times work at all?
Temporarily. I believe the main one was just the jail time. The jail time because you're forced to, be sober. Sobriety is forced on you, and I don't want it to have to be forced on me no more. So that's why I'm going again.